Has life started feeling heavier lately? Like there's a dullness you just can't shake? Your brain is running, but it's not sharp. You tell yourself, starting tomorrow, I'll lock in, I'll give it everything. But when the moment actually comes, there's this strange slowness, this fog, and it's not regular tiredness, the kind that goes away after a good night's sleep. Your memory has gotten worse too. Maybe you lose words mid-sentence. And today, across the internet, countless people are describing the exact same experience.
I felt like my sharpness was gone.
I just started to feel terrible.
Coming out of COVID, memory recall, speech problems that I had developed.
I was a little bit slower in thinking.
And my processing speed was down into the 14th percentile.
Maybe for you, it's gone even further. The excitement for life itself is just fading. Everything feels pointless. Nothing gives you the same joy it used to. The internet has given this feeling a name, brain fog. But here's the problem. Brain fog isn't an official medical diagnosis. Brain scans often come back normal. No visible damage, no fracture, no lesion. And yet, this is 100% real. People live it every day. A 2024 Oxford study found it in nearly 30% of people. And look at this data from the New England Journal of Medicine, also 2024. Even after recovering from mild COVID, patients showed a drop of 3 IQ points. Long COVID patients, 6 points. ICU patients, 9. This is enormous, because COVID hit virtually everyone in this country. But is brain fog really just a COVID problem? Well, the 2025 Yale School of Medicine study tracked brain fog trends across America and found that this trend actually started years before COVID. 2016 was the main inflection point. That means this isn't just a post-COVID problem, it's a civilizational problem that COVID only made worse. And brain fog is not laziness. It's not a dopamine distraction or an overthinking loop. It's something else, something far deeper. It has become an unstoppable outcome of modern life. And that's exactly why understanding it is crucial. To take back control of your energy, your motivation, and your happiness. But to do that, we have to go somewhere uncomfortable first. 1916, World War I. Harry Farr, a fearless soldier, was standing face to face with the enemy on the battlefield. His senior officers were screaming from behind, "Harry, advance! Harry, advance!" But Harry wouldn't move, like the ground itself had locked him in place. His officer looked at his face, drenched in sweat, confused. Harry was immediately arrested, because in World War I, cowardice wasn't punished with discharge. It was punished with death. Harry was court-martialed, sentenced, and executed by firing squad. But this story left everyone with a haunting question. What Harry was killed for? Was it actually cowardice? Here's where things get really interesting. Because Harry wasn't alone. In World War I, 306 soldiers were executed by their own country, all on charges of cowardice. Every single one had the same response. They froze. So what was happening inside the brains of these soldiers that they couldn't execute the action, and ended up executed themselves? Now take a look at brain fog cases. Do you notice similar patterns? The capacity to execute work collapses. Motivation disappears. Everything feels unbearably heavy. So could Harry Farr's case and brain fog actually be connected? Yes. But first, an uncomfortable truth. The human brain is not a magical, unlimited power machine the way motivational speakers and self-help gurus like to claim. It's a biological circuit, and every circuit has limitations. A 2 GHz processor can't run at 10 GHz. 2 GB of RAM can't store 120 GB of data. In the same way, the brain was built with limited energy, limited processing capacity, and clear constraints, all with one ultimate goal: survival. That is the brain's #1 priority. Not because the brain chose it, but because across evolutionary history, every organism that didn't prioritize survival didn't pass on its genes. And the ones that did had this survival algorithm fundamentally coded in. But survival doesn't just mean staying alive. If the brain has 3 priority levels, we'll call this the survival priority hierarchy. This hierarchy is what the brain's entire algorithm runs on. Your thoughts, your feelings, your instincts, none of them are random. They come by design. And if we crack this evolutionary code, we won't just understand 1 or 2 brain problems from the surface. We'll understand and solve many of them at the root. Now, pay close attention. To achieve these survival priority levels, the brain operates, by design, on 2 fundamental principles. Principle 1, life protection. Protect the body from any kind of damage. This is the core directive of our DNA. Principle 2, energy efficiency. Intelligently allocating energy only to where it increases survival chances. Because the brain, despite being just 2% of the body's mass, consumes 20% of its calories all by itself. These two principles together form a gradient, and most survival-related behaviors can be understood very easily through this simple gradient. We'll call this the brain's survival algorithm. Brain fog. Harry Farr's case, office burnout, lack of motivation, fatigue, even depression, bipolar disorder, PTSD, a significant part of these psychological conditions. You're already seeing it. The brain's main goal is not happiness, not building a successful career, not spiritual enlightenment, just staying alive and conserving energy. That is the brain's master algorithm, fundamental survival logic. And this is where the story really begins, and where there's a question waiting for you. What exactly happened to Harry Farr? Let's go back 300,000 years. Imagine you're an early Homo sapien, a hunter-gatherer. It's dark, and suddenly you hear a lion's roar. The brain's master algorithm instantly activates. It detects threat. It triggers the amygdala, the brain's stress response alarm system. Remember the brain's two main goals: protect life and conserve energy. Now, if the lion is right next to you and you're hiding behind a bush, what action gives you the best chance of survival? Well, school taught us that in danger, the brain goes into fight or flight mode. But if you fight the lion, you die. If you try to run, you get caught. Any action here is just an invitation to death. And that's why evolution designed a third mode into the brain, the one your school textbook skipped, the freeze mode, which literally locks you in place when facing a sudden but serious threat. Watch this impala. It's not dead. It just froze when the threat came suddenly. Some hyenas showed up, the leopard ran off, and a few moments later the impala recovered and escaped. Something very similar happens with humans and most mammals. That's exactly what happened to Harry Farr and those 306 soldiers. They froze. The freeze response sits at the base of the survival hierarchy, in the defense category, high on life protection urgency, low on energy conservation. In this situation, notice an interesting paradox inside the brain. The ventrolateral periaqueductal gray, part of the brainstem, goes on alert, and two modes that are usually opposites activate at the same time. The stress alert mode, the sympathetic nervous system, and the still mode, parasympathetic braking, both at once. Mind in panic, body completely still, because not every threat requires action. Sometimes the actual victory is just staying alive until the danger passes. But notice something crucial. In the wild, predators were never permanent. The lion came and went. That's why the freeze mode was designed to be short-term, seconds or minutes. Your brain and nervous system got a chance to heal. But now think, what happens when the predator never leaves? When the threat isn't physical, but psychological? When the danger isn't one big roar up, but 200 small, constant ones? Never-ending deadline loops, perform or perish pressure, brutal competition, extreme expectations, comparison culture, out-of-control dopamine addictions, credit card bills, the constant fight for status. Robert Sapolsky proved that animals handle stress far better than humans because they return to normal within 10 minutes. Stress chemicals literally flush out. But a human remembers the threat, imagines it, overthinks it, and projects it into the future. The lion never leaves. Whether the amygdala sees an actual lion or a spreadsheet, it experiences the same unpredictability and threat. And when you're trapped in a loop that feels impossible to escape, can't quit your job, can't get ahead no matter how hard you try, can't ignore the pressure, can't put the phone down, what does the system do? Not freeze. Because you're not in a physical threat. You're in a slow, consistent psychological one. So the brain doesn't freeze, it starts going foggy. And that is brain fog. Look at the survival hierarchy again, and copy this model. I've specifically created it for you, to give you a deep understanding of psychology in simple terms. In modern life, we don't face the same mortal dangers as the jungle, so the body doesn't face many problems at the defense level, and our brain doesn't freeze like that impala. But today, most of the problems modern people face come from this second level of needs not being met. Stability problems fall more on the energy efficiency end of the gradient, not life protection. So the brain stays alive, but in terms of energy, you feel completely dull and flat. Only once the brain achieves stability can you move toward the third level: expansion, contribution, love, purpose, happiness, and peace. And that's why the modern lion is nothing but the brain's stability collapse. And when does stability collapse? When your lifestyle makes stress and stimulation so high and recovery so weak that the system breaks down. That's brain fog. Simply put, brain fog equals stress plus stimulation consistently greater than recovery. What is modern life today? Stress is all-time high. And stimulation? 6 to 8 hours of screen exposure, non-stop scrolling, social media comparisons, overthinking, Netflix binging, and recovery, 5 hours of sleep. Overstimulation has eaten our recovery alive. But then why is it that some people still aren't healing even with decent sleep? Well, that's the tricky part of brain fog. here's what's actually happening. Remember, principle 2 of the brain's algorithm, energy efficiency. Energy is the brain's currency. And the brain, by design, only spends energy where it sees survival hierarchy goals being met, not where you get a promotion or build your career. And when you're stuck in a loop of stress or overstimulation, where effort has no visible reward, where the situation consistently feels beyond your capacity or control, the brain starts protecting its currency from being wasted. This area of the brain, the executive function network, is what keeps you sharp and focused and lets you execute clearly. But it's a high energy consumer. So if using it gives the brain only 2 responses, no progress, and the stress isn't going away, the brain gets feedback that energy is being wasted, and the energy supply to the executive areas gets cut through multiple mechanisms. That's when you start feeling procrastination and demotivation. If this continues consistently, chronically high stress hormones, disrupted sleep, inflammation, these factors snowball. The result? Working memory bandwidth drops, focus becomes unstable, willpower shrinks, cognitive flexibility decreases. McEwen's research shows the amygdala literally starts dominating the logical brain and the executive brain, the prefrontal amygdala flip. And that's why you feel completely dull, slow, low energy, and flat. You want to work, but you can't. Just like an overloaded processor slows the whole system down, your brain is literally doing the same thing. Neuroscience calls this allostatic overload. This is the brain's energy economics. The freeze response saved lives. Brain fog conserves capacity. And burnout? That's the extreme version of brain fog, plus the body's energy system collapsing, plus the meaning behind the work dying out completely. All 3 together, that's burnout. Now, is brain fog permanent? Were the COVID-related IQ drops permanent? What does the most scientifically backed solution actually look like? Here's an uncomfortable truth first. The 2025 NIH-long COVID cognitive trial tested brain training apps, cognitive rehabilitation programs, and brain stimulation devices. The result? None of it worked. 0 approved treatments. So is brain fog truly permanent? No. But the solution can't be superficial. You have to work on the root itself. I've gone through many research papers, done hours of medical deep dives, and I'll offer you 3 major solutions, the most impactful and the most scientifically backed. My estimate, more than 50% of brain fog can be reversed, in many cases 80% or more. And yes, even COVID-related cognitive decline is largely reversible. Solution 1, structured living. From personal experience, the single solution alone can fix 50% of brain fog. Picture this, a person is walking calmly down one road. Suddenly, 5 roads appear. They take the second one. Then they think, I should have taken the third. They see someone else and think, wait, why am I even here? I should be on the 4th road. Overstimulation. They're moving but not progressing. And now chronic stress has been added to the mix. This is everyone's story today. The biggest curse of today's world is noise. Extreme noise. And it's only going to get worse. Inside every person's brain, multiple open loops are running at once. Harvard research shows these open loops drain processing power. This is called the Zeigarnik effect. And this is exactly what kills executive bandwidth. That's why today, a structured life, structured rules and routines, structured thinking, it's the greatest superpower you can have. Having structure in life isn't an option anymore. It's oxygen. Fixed wake-up time, fixed work blocks, defined goals, cut the noise, close decisions. Remember, the root of brain fog is lack of control, and a structured life keeps control in your hands, not the world's. Most scientific studies show that control and predictability significantly reduce stress hormones. Practical tip, stop postponing decisions for months. It makes your life messier than it needs to be. Be decisive. Close your open loops, because whether you stay in a toxic situation or get out of one, that key is in your hands. Solution 2, the miracle brain protein. Harvard professor John Rady made an interesting discovery. He sprinkled a protein onto neurons in a petri dish. The neurons literally started growing new branches, like a dried up tree that finally got water. The protein is called BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. And to trigger it, you don't need a drug or a supplement. You just need 20 minutes of daily aerobic movement. Walking, cycling, jump rope, anything medium intensity that gets your heart rate up. Here's the mechanism. Exercise triggers BDNF release, which drives neurogenesis, the growth of new neurons, in the hippocampus, restoring memory and focus. There's also a dual impact. Exercise flushes out cortisol at the same time. That's why mental clarity so often follows a workout. Solution 3, and the most critical one. In 2024, researchers at OHSU imaged for the first time a hidden network inside the human brain. It's called the glymphatic system, the brain's sewage cleaning network. During deep sleep, brain cells literally shrink by 20 to 30%. This allows cerebrospinal fluid to flow through like a powerful current, flushing out the metabolic waste that's accumulated throughout the entire day. This toxic waste is what damages brain cells over time. And the critical finding, the system accelerates with sleep duration. 5 hours of sleep means 5 hours of cleaning. 8 hours means cleaning that is exponentially more effective. Practical fix, structure this too. One simple intervention, turn off screens 45 minutes before bed. Those 45 minutes, do whatever you want. Read a book, stare at the ceiling, just no screens. And beyond these three, there are a few minor additions worth building into your routine, all scientifically supported. Meditation, cortisol-reducing supplements, adaptogens like ashwagandha, and taking care of gut health, which sits at the root of inflammation. But if there's one thing to take away from all of this, brain fog's root in today's world is unstructured living. Your brain is not weak. You just need to adapt smarter to the age we're in. And the solution is actually simple. Less noise, fewer options, more constraints, more structure. Because real freedom, true freedom, is exactly that.